And you can, I guess reach out to us for like the, stuff, for the stuff. Because now, unfortunately, we're all content creators. So can't even post, my soup without feeling judgment. Like, should I have made it a recipe video or like, I don't know. Okay. I haven't seen myself yet, so we're not going to start yet. Okay, no. All right, that's cool. I'm never control. All right, all right, all right. All right, this is it. Hello, hello. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise for yourselves in the building. We are here, we are here, we are here for the Nuyorican Poets Cafe Open Mic Wednesdays at the Loisaida Center. We do this every second and last Wednesday of the month. So you guys can definitely pop in. Let me just tell y'all some rules. If you need the bathroom, the exit is right there. You could go down the hall. You'll see a sign that says bathrooms, and it's to the right. Please, please, please don't clog it. If you do, it's okay. We're human, and it happens sometimes. We won't be mad at you. During performances, if you do have to go to the restroom, we advise, like, if you're sitting near the front area, just wait till they're finished, you know what I'm saying? And then y'all can run to the restroom just so you don't cut through the camera by accident. Because if y'all, take a look over there, like, that's the beautiful view you'll see, There's a bunch of them everywhere. I'm just taking my time with just explaining the rules because we got the time today, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to I already mentioned this live stream. We're on YouTube. Make sure your devices are silences. We don't do any of the hate stuff, keep it nice and clean. We don't do political things, but you can express your things, you know what I'm saying, politically, if that's your jam. So everyone's going to get 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes to do your thing. You can come up here. You can shamelessly plug yourself after that because you never know who's going to want to follow you and support the art, right? So again, when you come up here and you're about to do your thing, just make sure you look to the screen, wait till you see yourself, and then start your poems, songs. Does that make sense for everyone? All right, the list is looking. The list is looking. So again, it's raffle style, so I'm gonna pick one out. When I say you're on deck, that means you're coming up next, so let's figure out who's gonna come up after the first person. So coming up on deck, we will have Jocelyn Hernandez, Maraquin? Maraquin. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna be on deck, so you're gonna be coming up next. And let's find out our sacrificial person for the start of the night, because this is the power of the raffle. All right, so the first person of the night is one of our OGs. Everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for Paul Skiff, making his name to the stage.
I am delighted to be here with all of you. Oh, there I am. I like the 1 second delay. It's 4 minutes, right?
For today, I'm going to give everyone 5 minutes because we got time.
Okay. October 17th, don't ask me who says so, but it was Black Poetry Day. So I just want to start with a quote, not a poem, a quote from one of my favorite poets, Audre Lorde. What are the words you do not yet have? What do you need to say? What are the tyrannies you swallow day by day and attempt to make your own until you will sicken and die of them, still in silence. This is something I'm just working on. American bombs and Netanyahu pounce dismember your moral goodness like an innocent civilian fleeing your wonder horror. Human dignity does not look back on the way out its bowl of need, gets one spoonful of pity dust in the refugee camp financed by worldwide complacence on a year of cities demolished with remote control ignorance. Death count free falls like lies through a promise in an unholy land. For once, the glowing screen does not contemptuously fib to your eyes. Tell electric blood on the grieving grandmother's videoed face is warm as the corporeal blood and leisure time hang of your heart. What if you knew the child whose brains were on your bystanding hands? Mother Mercy, why won't they let you free in a war tunnel beneath civilians held out as bomb meat? Terrorist cowards hide under politics. The loser wins strategy, a satanic fameless grab for headlines, but the weaponized news just shoots them in their own reputation. Leaders who lead to death, war for land, only ghosts may flee. The eradication state's political faith, death wish, inspirational devotions, militarized prayer, garbled as national suicide. Religion lost, the holy, somewhere superstitious in a rocket stockpile, with devout sanctity, goddess-idol men piously atrocity rape the watching world. War is continuance of failure by ignorant means through violence worship. The explosion prays for a target to serve. Phosphorescent fire and lung-popping concussion deliver their brutality sermon. Sacred truths drain out artery of civilian innocence, drip disillusion from bloody table in the basement beneath world opinion to brim martyrdom's pale, containing shredded tranquility of the neighborhood. Righteousness is the pimp of vengeance dressed up as sorrow. The hysterically grieving multilingual winds of Palestine moan lamentation in one slang of loss. Prosperity starves like children who inherit a blockaded future where love is now too weak to have an appetite. What can you feel from prosperity's distance? What if the bomb dust was a paste on your tongue? What if the hill of rubble slathered with severed legs was your home? What if the communal farm pillaged of life hollowed your contentment? What if the ambulance full of nameless, rancid intestines needed you to empty it? What if the stench from the entire family of corpses next door locked your face in a grimace, dodging hateful slaughter up and down a land that after victimizing is still just the most unholiest 80-year-old promise? Where would you find peaceful sanctuary between the vicious old men in sacred business with death? Hope and desperation under anger's fingernails that unearth a newborn from the hospital collapse, join depravity and joy in an infamy dance when a music festival is raped for no reason other than murder fun. So venom and purity scramble complicity and innocence where victory and defeat deny knowing one another. American bombs and Netanyahu pounce attack your moral goodness like a wonder horror. Human dignity does not look back on the way out. In the refugee camp, its bowl of need gets one spoonful of pity dust. On a year of cities demolished by remote control ignorance, the death count free falls like lies through a promise in an unholy land. Home is a target when love is on its own. Belief is an excuse when love is on its own. Pride is a vendetta when love is on its own. Hope is a successful bombardment when love is on its own. When love is on its own. I'm on IG as Skiffgram. That's just SKIFF gram. And if you Google Paul Skiff, you'll get paulskiff.com. Thank you.
Yes. All right, shout out to Paul. So we are going to do a double round. So we'll do a small intermission where I give you some insights about what the Nuyorican Post Cafe is doing and what the Loisaida Center is doing, so we could, keep connected and everything. And I didn't explain it before, so apologies for that. But when you have 1 minute left, you're gonna see kind of like a little flashlight on the side. So that's just your signal that like you got 1 minute left to kind of like, wrap it up. Paul, I didn't do that to you because I didn't explain it to you. You feel me? So that was, but thank you for that. So we're gonna keep it in motion. Let's see who's on deck. All right. So on deck, we have AC Lightning on deck. He's going to be coming up next. But before that, everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for Jocelyn Hernandez Maraquin. Nice. Making her way to the stage. Sorry, I was...
I think it's good. Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. So this is Life, Death, Rebirth. The insurmountable weight I've carried upon these shoulders is enough to make my back crumble and my legs collapse. Must I fall into the cycle yet again? Yes. Because as I walk into the abyss, I realize it is not a cycle that I've fallen into, but rather the never-ending spiral that has no beginning or an end. If I take my dreams into consideration, believing it could happen is but one part of the process. Knowing my limitations requires that I sometimes must take a step back, be still, and just breathe. In remembering my people before me, I know I have the capacity to change. My existence would have not been possible if not for the sacrifices made to get me here. I bet the ancestors would marvel at the very thought of their daughter here performing in the city of New York. Yet, as I exist in flesh and blood, pretending not to hear, nor see, or staying silent will not save me. Safety and stability can often make my skin crawl. But of course, the system that was is meant to disrupt my tranquility and dim the light within. And though the strength I've acquired has transformed into a resiliency through trauma and pain, I imagine things can be different when my children and my children's children go their own way, not needing to suffer the same game or live in vain. In my current existence, it has been possible and easier to let the universe take hold of the reins. Yet, of course, I can't help but to falter at the sight of unmet expectations. I'm only human. You see, traveling to distant lands and foreign places has afforded me the ability to look past my own prejudices and shortcomings. I not need strain myself to be seen. A piece of you lives in me just as a piece of me lives in you. And this, I found, is the key in renewing my sense of belonging in this world. As I learn what roots and binds both you and I to this earth is but the love we share and bring to the table, full of our sons and daughters and fathers and mothers. The reflection painted on my eyelids forever captures a promise of a future led in the spirit of cooperation. Forget domination. I know in times of obscurity and distress, it can be hard to comprehend how the innate sense of self can relate to the women of Congo or the children in Sudan, the people of Palestine, let alone the Trump supporter in Texas or the soldier in Rafah. These differences alone are exploited in the name of nation states and figureheads and the creator of all things. Now I wonder if we were all to just take a step back, look past those who claim to govern in our interests, take a deep breath, and understand that in another part of the world, there is someone just like you waiting for all of this to change, their hands on their hips, not realizing that the change they seek is but within. Thank you.
Where can they find you? Can they not find you? I was like, yeah, come back and tell us where we can find you. You guys gotta tell you. I told you, you gotta plug yourself, you know? You never know.
So yeah, I have an Instagram at Jocelyn Hernandez Marroquin. That's JOCELINEHERNANDEZ MARROQUIN. Thank you.
All right. Don't forget, guys, you know. All right. So keep it in motion on deck. Is it pronounced more or M-O-R? Just more? Okay, so on deck we got more. You're gonna be coming up next, right after AC Lightning. Everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for AC Lightning, making his way to the stage.
What's up, everyone? Oh, hold on. I know I'm a little tall. Well, I ain't that tall. What's up? How we all doing? All right. How many of us dealt with love? By a show of hands. I'm pretty sure we all in here have dealt with love. Some of us, whether it's through friends or by proxy through family or relationships. But however, I figure I have this poem that I can try my best to explain why do fools fall for love, as literally the name of the poem, Why Do Fools Fall for Love? Why do fools fall for love where after a one-night stand, someone's left coat in their partner's cuddles? Or friends who giggle in your face as they plot in your downfall? Or those who came from broken homes and their views on love is fragmented? Their views on home have been fragmented. Their pleas for affection has been ignored, have gotten ignored, so they ask, what's love got to do with it? When dad's gone and his son at home blame his mom for his distaste for women, women think of husbands like fairy tale cause love in real time don't feel magical. Romanticism of love for the media has turned sex into a prize for the entitled, gave imbeciles power to set rules for women that they don't follow themselves. Kids are forced to grow up while their parents give each other black and blue face cause the thin line between love and hate got them asking, why'd I get married to you? Women want to act and think like a man because they think they know what men want, but still ask, do good men still exist? Meanwhile, men have to climb 5 times the height for women who are 10 times as undesirable. I thought love was impartial all its ways. I thought this would be the same love that would turn baby boy to a man, or the same love that won't let money and women come between the bonds of 4 brothers. Some Christians love singing God is love, but fail to understand when folks ask, why do fools fall for love? What's love got to do with it? In the midst of heartache, love is incessant poetry. It fills up your heart when you feel empty. Love is beauty. Love is radical. Love is worship. It's a tingling that wakes us up every day to keep us holding on for hope. Maya Angelou said it right. Love is many things, but one thing love is not is unsure. Love is the tree that sprout many branches, but roots of uncertainty is what kills love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is brotherly. Love is seductive. Love is servitude. Love is medicine to the soul that can give Stella her groove back, can give interest strength to raise them girls, could show trade that does it better tomorrow, and could turn the diary of a mad black woman into a woman filled with joy. So what's love got to do with it? Everything. Because agape is God's boundless aura, powering us even if we disregarded him. I too was hurt by a perversion of love until Yahweh met me at my footsteps. And like how he showed me, he'll show you. You're not a fool for falling for love. You're only a fool if you get consumed by hate. Poem. My name is AC Lightning. I'm a poet, I'm a rapper, I'm a filmmaker. I kind of do everything, but I don't. So if you want to follow me, my Instagram is DAC_Lightning_. That is THEAC Lightning_. AC as in air conditioner or Atlantic City, if you're feeling lucky. Lightning as in storm _ DAC Lightning_. And I'll see y'all later.
All right. Let's figure out who's gonna go on next real quick. All right. I think I can say this. I'll be butchering names, so I always apologize. So on deck, we're gonna have Sana Kazim. I said that right? Nice. Okay. All right. She's gonna be on deck. But before that, everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for more making their way to the stage.
So I've filled up about 5 notebooks in the past month of my life, and I haven't read a lot of this yet. So, oh yeah. So I'm gonna read an old piece, and then I'm gonna read 2 pieces that I've been writing. I write all in capital letters, kind of like I did when I was 10, so sometimes I stumble, so just please be kind. All right. So this one is called Wield Love Like a Saber. Oh, sorry. Good? Cool. So this one is called Wield Love Like a Saber. I've said before that you have to keep building a life that is poised to keep re-healing the perpetual wound within you, the stigmata of having been embodied on this earth in a family, of surviving the loss that comes with living. You keep the kit stocked for triage, and you pry from the floor the nails whose old heads cut your feet. So much of my life I suffered. Why now would I not turn myself towards healing and love? Why wouldn't I dispel the distortions whose untruths I've forgotten and re-remembered so many times? It's about practice, about practical things you do, things that work on you, work in you, things that affect change on your body, within your body. You go out there and you let the world wash over you, remind you of your place in the world of the living. It's the self-hatred that keeps that demon pinned to your heart. It's the self-hatred. It's the first untruth we let through the door, and with it, that insidious let-in creature enters us. And so you wield love like a saber, like a scythe, and you cut down those stalks that have grown so tall to box you in so that you can orient yourself, see the mountains and the sky. Remember that you are in a field in a low valley, and that immobility is a spell of can't and shouldn't that must be broken with that bold risk that feels like certain death, breaking the spell of nothing matters by doing it anyway. Yeah. Okay, cool. Is this close? Actually, maybe I should just pull it down. I've never done that before. Oh, there we go. We're different heights. Very nice. Okay, cool. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. You know, this is like one of those things I've realized about like overhead lighting is you'll walk in a room and be really uncomfortable, and then you'll be like, wait a minute. This is not me. This is the settings. This is the microphone. All right. So this one, I was listening to an interview with Joni Mitchell recently. And I was thinking about Joni Mitchell and the 60s and the disillusionment at the end of the 60s and how it kind of feels like we felt when COVID, there was this little aperture where things felt like things finally stopped, and it felt like change was fucking possible. And nobody talks about it, and it's not in the popular culture. It's the only thing of that magnitude that could happen all over the world and that somehow wouldn't come back in popular culture. It's not in art, there's not essays about it, but we all fucking remember that feeling. And we remember what it was like when everything not only went back to fucking normal, but it got worse. And the disillusionment and fucking disappointment of that shit we have never dealt with. And it's coming out as mental illness, it's coming out as instability, it's coming out as all the other things because we never fucking alchemized that shit. And we have to, with each and every one of us as artists, start dredging that shit up and dealing with that, because that little aperture of how things could be and the disappointment of that is something that we have never fucking resolved. But anyway, I digress. So I was thinking about Joni Mitchell when I wrote this and how that actually felt when the 60s ended, so. I think of the art that's been created from the void of that wound, from its aching and absence. Joni Mitchell's missing daughter, Patti Smith's painful pregnancy and relinquished child, left alone in pain on the metal table, in complicated labor after the nurses ridiculed her hair and called her a vampire, till the doctor finally came and diagnosed the breach. I can't remember if she had a C-section or not, but remember her writing about the gentleness of Mapplethorpe, her great love at that time, that photographer who came to be known for such harshness, how he touched and regarded that scar or the stretched skin left from her pregnancy, and Joni, whose great interior mosaic of feeling she expressed through her singular sounds she made with her guitar, piano, her voice, her strange tuning closer to the sounds she heard in her head, she felt within, and so many colors of that mosaic, hues of longing, that great album Blue, the great disillusionment as the 60s came to an end, that sunny bastion of Lindenhurst where so many artists converged, shattered by the hammer of the Manson murders. Though Manson himself, and it's simply not talked about, was a product of a horrendously broken home, was brutalized for most of his childhood in penal institutions and workhouses, whipped raw and doused in salt water, raped, I'm sure, repeatedly, And before his infamy was bestowed by the orchestration of a murder, he yearned to be known as an artist, to be a musician enfolded in the golden embrace of other artists, part of the circle of which Joni, no doubt, was a radiant, feeling heart. What is born from absence and a wound? And what forces shape the gifts and nightmares born from suffering? I think, too, of Maya Angelou, a bird of her sweet child self, caged by the rape she suffered and the weight of the murder of her perpetrator when she told, then retreating into silence, seeing what words could do, the sheer force of the truth. But she was also loved fiercely by the force of a woman who was her mother. And maybe that is the difference, the thing that tips the scale from self-destruction to creation, to self-salvation. Her mother, who she said was a piss-poor mother to young children, but a brilliant steward to young adults, who kicked down the door to take back her then young adult baby, who'd been taken captive by a man who had been her lover, who grew threatened and angry and possessive of that brilliant light, that radiance within Maya Angelou, and reckoned he'd kill her so he could keep it. But the door got kicked down by love, and Maya, she who became Miss Maya Angelou, was saved to give the world the great gifts within her soul, within her heart, caged in a body that had known brutality, betrayal, violence. But that bird within that radiant heart sang, and so saved many of us, myself included, kicked down the door to the rooms within ourselves where we are tortured by parts of ourselves grown contorted and bittered with pain, busts in and saves us both, victim and perpetrator, whose duality we all encompass in some way. And so maybe the difference is being loved fiercely. Maybe that's the redemptive force. Who is to say Manson didn't have some truth in his soul that got smothered and contorted by trauma? This isn't to excuse, idolize, or admire violence, or to assume I can know what went on inside a man whose feral-eyed face became a symbol for the end of an era that toted peace and love as a slogan, but to say, we are all of us human, all of us born, all of us guaranteed to die, all once infants in need of love, of unconditional, irrevocable care, that we are all woundable, permeable as much to love and the planting of seeds and care and nourishment as we are to the planting of bombs and the ground mines that litter one's internal landscape in love's absence. And then, if we all encompass the possibility of the perpetrator, because we all encompass the woundability to be victim, then we also encompass the potentiality of self-salvation, of a love within ourselves, of lungs and a voice capable to sing, to uncage ourselves and embolden others to do the same. Cool. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm also an artist, and primarily I've done like large-scale cutouts and installation and masks and headdresses for a long time, but I'm starting to move primarily into my writing. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm MOR Stencil Art. Thank you for your time. I know I went a little bit over. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. So before we get into our little break announcement and then our second round, I'm going to redistribute the tickets. So artists, definitely get a second piece ready if you have it. If you don't, you could always freestyle. You know, it is the Nuyorican Post Cafe and Loisaida Center. So without further ado, everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for Sana Kazemi, right? Kazemi making her way to the stage. Please feel free to correct me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sana. I am a spoken word poet from Chicago. This is part of a set. I'll read the first half right now and the second half in the next round. It's been something I've been performing all over Chicago, so I'm grateful to be here and performing here tonight.
I'm a little shorter too. It's hard navigating this world sometimes, a world or community in which you are a minority, always having to dial back, not to step on any toes, not rocking the boat too much that it startles the naturally privileged. Because then what? Panic ensues. Why can't you just be happy that you're here? Why don't you go back to your country if you're going to complain? But I am from here. My parents may be immigrants, but why must they always adapt? Why must we always adapt? Why do we have to give up our cultures or values because you fear unknown customs, colors, or foods? We must be uncomfortable for you to remain in a state of stagnancy and privilege. Why can't we learn, grow, and adapt from one another? The world would be better for it. Your fear of the unknown forces others to accommodate. You have majority representation, yet fear giving us room. You fear that you'll be mistreated as you have mistreated us. But we don't want that. We want growth and evolvement for all. But your stagnancy of privilege prevents you from seeing the overall great impacts to our world. If people could just open their hearts to one another, to understand one another, versus creating more divide in our communities. Perhaps it's the brainwashing that only one group can prevail, versus what reality is, we would succeed together, further together united than divided. But there's so much hate, so much divide and despise. How do we overcome such an unfortunate oversight? How do we open your eyes and your hearts? I hope to show you with my words things many can never avoid, that is constantly in our daily thoughts. The reason why many of us refuse to continue letting this world remain stagnant. To show you a sliver, a glimpse of what it means not to meet the societal constructed norm, and to ask you in earnest to hear with an open heart. So let me paint a picture. It's 2020, and while you may be out gallivanting stress-free, people are fearing for their lives, disappointed that Breonna Taylor didn't get the justice deserved while her murderers survived, with a slap on their wrists basically being told, you'll be fine. You've got the blue badge and the off-white skin. You and your kin are protected from within the unjust system who are separating the colors from the whites. You've turned a blind eye to the travesties occurred, more concerned about property than humanity, more concerned about your comfort than the people who can't breathe. You throw tear gas and rubber bullets while people walk the streets, asking for the same benefits and privilege that you've been handed for centuries. They ask for basic human rights, and you start chaos, to spread confusion, to spread hatred. And for what? So that you can continue your deceit. Fast forward to 2023, nothing seems to have changed as you continue to turn a blind eye to the travesties overseas, skewing the narrative of the innocent to do as you please, using media to turn the oppressed into the oppressors, to rewrite history, portraying you as the hero while the rest of humanity fights for freedom and peace. You play innocent to continue your game of control with no care about the rising death toll, without a care that there are innocent people on the verge of extermination. You instead focus on erasing your sins with propaganda, with the expectation that the world will forget, that the world will believe your lies, but not this time. We've seen the truth, and there are many others finally opening their eyes. We will not let our voices be extinguished as you continue this massacre of innocents and civilians who are just fighting for their land and basic human rights. We will not stop until there is freedom for all humanity. We will not give up the fight until all are granted autonomy for their own lives. Thank you. Thank you very much. My Instagram is SANAAK7. And thank you. I'll share the rest later.
All right. Before we get into it, I already threw the tickets back in. Does anyone else want to sign up on the list? Is there anyone new that wants to sign up on the list? The two people I'm looking for, they've signaled that it's a no. Next time. All right, so we're gonna get into some announcements. So the first, Paul, are they gonna throw it up? I'm ready for the slides. All right, cool, perfect. So the first Wednesdays of every month is going to be WOW. That's going to be our Women's Orator Wednesdays at the Loisaida Center. You could do all aspects of open mic for all women and women representing roles. The doors open for that at 6 p.m., so you can slide through for that. That's going to be the first Wednesdays of every month, okay? Make sure you lock that in. We could go to the next slide. Or I don't know, what should I say? Next. All right, and of course, the second and fourth Wednesday of every month, we're gonna be right here for this open mic. This is gonna be the Nuyorican Poets Cafe Open Mic Wednesdays at the Loisaida Center. We start at 6, go till 8, and either we double up the list, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It all depends on how we're feeling the day of and what it's looking like. All right, what else we got? We got the Slam, I believe, coming up next, yep. All right, so the Slam, that's going to be every Monday. The Nuyorican Poets Cafe is going to be at the Bowery Poetry Club. Cap just went over this earlier. And basically, it's going to be a weekly slam. The winners take home a cash prize and an invitation to the monthly Friday night slam, which is kind of like the final one. It's a bigger one. It's the Big Blast competition. The doors for that is 6:30, but the line starts at around like 30 minutes earlier. So we do suggest that, you get a little there, early or, to your own vices, And then the final slam, which is on Fridays. Yes, there we go. That's that beautiful flyer. It's going to be at 9:30 p.m. every month. It's going to be where basically all of the best poets come through. They have prizes for $100, and the winners secure their spot at the end of the year Grand Slam, because, we get down like that. We just keep the functions rolling. And that one, they can win up to $1,000 to take home and a spot on the Nuyorican Poets Cafe Slam team. So not only you get that bread, you get the creds. You feel me? And now, with the promotions being done, let's pick out this raffle for who's going to start the next round. Sorry, sometimes you got to get a good mix in there. You guys are missing out on the ASMR goodness. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Can you hear it in the headphones back there? You can hear it in the headphones? People pay for this. Just saying. All right. Okay, cool. So, to start us off on the second round, it's going to be Jocelyn Hernandez, 1 second, and then right on deck. Oh, wow, look at that. I'll say, so on deck, it's going to be Sana again. So everyone, we're going to get into the second round. Put your hands together. Make some noise for Jocelyn Hernandez making her way back to the stage for another one.
So I was searching through my my notes app, and this just seemed like the fitting one to say. It's about love. My time has come. My fate brought me here as I've understood it. This is the choice I make. You haven't lived if you haven't loved, as the world begs of you just this one thing. I find it hard to recreate new meaning from the rubbles of the relationship, but it's there, in plain sight, waiting for acknowledgement. You haven't lived if you haven't loved, and it's just you and me and all the world that surrounds us. Sitting under shaded trees, you grasp my face with your hands. I caress your lips, given this chance. This prolonged moment in time lasts forever in our minds as you keep me close and I slip into your throat. You haven't lived if you haven't loved. What I wouldn't give to be face to face with your love. Thank you.
keeping it in motion. All right, on deck, we're gonna have AC Lightning back to the stage. But before that, everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for Sana Kazemi making her way back to the stage. Share a little more of the greatness.
I take a shower to remove all the atrocities that I've seen on these small screens, to unsee a crying mother as she holds her lifeless child in her arms limp, to unhear the screams of the people calling for help as they are unjustly bombed and tortured by the undignified, the soulless, to wake up from this nightmare to a world more just than the one I live in. To unsee these innocents, men, women, and children, stripped of their clothes to the bare bone, stripped of their privacy, stripped of any decency or humility. I take a shower to wash off the tears and attempt to wash off the remnants of the blatant racism, of the blatant hate, of the blatant disregard for another human's fate, another human's life, but I cannot. It's a stain in my core. It's etched in my heart, a reminder forevermore. A reminder that if we are different, we don't deserve for our voices to be heard. We don't deserve for our people to be saved. That's what you say when you look the other way, as innocents are killed, as you go on with your day. How can we trust again? How can we feel safe? Prove us wrong, that this world can be better, that this world will be better. Because nothing can wake us up from this ongoing nightmare. This has become the world's reality. We cannot unsee or unfeel the massacre towards humanity. But humanity is strong. We are one, we are united. We feel the pain of each individual fighting for their life, for their core human rights. Our hearts ache as they ache. We wake up and our thoughts immediately are with Palestine. Every morning, every minute of the day, every night before we sleep. Even through this, they persevere. Though they may be without homes, without food, without aid, they continue to have faith, to have hope, to have kindness and empathy. For them, we must continue on. For them, we must continue to fight for their voices to be heard, to end this brutal violence of people defending their land, their way of life. This is not a war of religion, but one of human life. We are brothers and sisters in this fight. If one is suffocating under mounds of rubble, under bombs blasting each and every day, then none of us are free. It is our duty to fight for those who have been enslaved to a life of war, many since the day they were born. It is our duty to stop the genocide forevermore. We will not stop. We will never give up. We will not condone the acts of the Zionist state. We will not stop until there is a free Palestine. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. On deck, we have Paul Skiff on deck. But before that, everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for AC Lightning making his way back to the stage for another one. DJ Khaled.
Black boys, society doesn't care for you. Black boys, the streets never loved you. Black boys, your parents tried to raise you well in New Jack City, where GTA thrive in the ghetto. These Crips shed blood on the Saints Row as they pledged to the call of duty. The cold streets made these boys act hard, and if they want to, they pull your card. Black boys, Your people supply sirens and handcuffs as your daily soundtrack. Helicopter propeller dump hard like gunshots turn to 808s. They scream gang, gang, gang in their raps, put it on a track and make a killer off of it. All they care about is clocking that dough. You have mama freaking out for running the streets if she knows, but you survive, black boy. While another family bears the news on TV, another black boy gunned down. Black boys. Your father will hug love and soul into you because he's not trying to lose you to no bullish. Your dad's love is what oxygen is to lungs, and he risks his life so you can shine. He's not lying to you, king. He wants your pride strong like the rock. Black boys that have you believe that you can live on the radio like the top 40 or score buckets like Kobe and earn 40 points as if life outside of entertaining people is foreign to you. If you ain't got money, power, or whips, your life is not existent. Black boys, everyone that mama could tell you how to be a man, and if any man shows you how to be one, you be vilified as a bastard. Black boys, God didn't have any doubts about your identity when he made you a boy. This world will feminize you because they're scared of what you become. But God saw you as royalty. Thrive in your masculinity through his spirit because black boys, this world makes suicide kings look good. Give you tools to destroy yourself because how else do you stop a group of people from reproducing? The white media says you're fools, so they use sex, chains, and women as your Achilles heels. They display images that have folks say you're all thugs, black boys. We kill monsters here, black boys. All you ever be is niggas, black boys. And you see, they'll never care enough to know what goes on in the ghetto. But black boys, you're meant to fly. Black boys, you're entitled to be loved. Black boys, don't ever die if they try to kill you. Black boys, you deserve to live to see your dreams. Black boys, society doesn't care for you. Black boys, the streets would never love you. Black boys, love yourself and trust God. Peace. Thank y'all. Again, if you want to follow me, my Instagram is DAC_Lightning_. That's THEAC Lightning_. I'll be outside. I'll be in New York. Well, until it gets cold outside, then I'll be inside in wherever venues that be doing open mics. But I get around, so I'll see y'all.
Nice. Everyone charged up on that first round. You know, sometimes you just gotta stretch your legs. Beware the water in the knees. I say it all the time. I sound old. But I am spiritually inside. I feel very ancient. But on deck, we're gonna have more. Everyone put your hands together. Make some noise for the OG Paul Skiff making his way back to the stage with another one.
Thanks to Paul, Supreme, Ron Mark Thompson, the crew out front, the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, and Loisaida Center for making this place. I call these action spaces where people can come. It's a free and open space where people can come and stand up and speak out about what concerns them. And if we didn't have these spaces, I really don't know how we would create the world we want to create for ourselves. Here, over here, over here, where life is more abundant, You may admire a word, but it is not a piece of property. I possess the knowing of my favorite word, but the word does not belong to me. The only way to possess a word is for the moment you admit you do not have it. At least you pass forward and are truth of the word's freedom. I am entered into by words I speak, but I only hold the moment of their enjoyment with my voice. Safekeeping of the word, continuously interrupted words wear my mouth as their shadow. Quest beneath my tongue for how to be said, searching for their self-same sound as though my mouth is a sonic mirror echo spark, traveling the frontier of their becoming inside my mouth like refugees on an illicit crossing to freedom. My favorite word is all of them that create a person whole and complete. Any word that even in wilderness of delirious rapturousness creates an emancipation. All words that ignite and shape a vital beginning of full-bodied participation in being alive. If our life was a word, I would favor it with being said. Shape my mouth around life. Fill with resonance of a force greater than any human understanding to be made animate here. So my resolve and volatile tenacity will be how I feel and perceive into this life. I would stand inside the word of life and let it compose me. How is it that looking for a way to be spoken, all words freely give themselves to page, to screen, to sky, never resist becoming alive, leave silence with the vibration of birth joy, like it was their mother? What is the secret of their giving? What is the secret of these words giving? The selflessness of their valor, the generosity only Spirit has the capacity to accept. I speak you a word, so we feel ourselves, so we feel ourselves, so we feel a word, ourselves, the place we know as our being. I speak you and myself like a word impassioned with need to be shaped, so we feel ourselves, ourselves, so we feel ourselves in the here of hearing, the place we know as our being. A beginning as a word that opens our togetherness. The beginning, a word that opens our togetherness. I will be the favor of this word. Thank you very much. It's great to have a visitor from Chicago here, the city where I first stood up to speak poetry live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so before I call more ups, we got a little more time. So are there any like 3 volunteers who would have a third one, like a third piece? Like how y'all feel? We got time. We're just letting you know. We end at 8 usually, and I know more is the last performer. So is there anyone here? You know? No? No takers? No takers. All right, so then I guess, yeah, you know, just close us out. I guess give us 2, or you know, we just wanted to ask first. You know, we didn't want to force it upon you, or we could, but you know, we're not like that. No. That's just no. Yeah. Oh. All right. So without further ado, everyone, put your hands together. Make some noise for more. Gonna close us out, nice and right.
So this is something I wrote. So I'm a born and raised New Yorker, which there are actually a lot of us. It's like kind of a lie that people think that there's not people in New York from New York. I just think people don't fucking pay attention. But I'm from Brooklyn originally, and I just moved to Sunset Park. And it's funny because my mom is from Bay Ridge, and I live by this pier now, and my dad was a sculptor, and so we were kind of raised like urban hillbillies, like squatting in buildings, like all sorts of insanity. But my dad did the 9/11 memorial, which is this big trumpet on the pier. And so it's funny because now I'll bike up to this pier and I'll kind of read and hang out and write, and I'm in this place where my mom grew up. And the funny thing about that piece is when my dad did it, we were squatting in like a defunct auditorium in Bed-Stuy, and we lived off of that commission money. So it's funny to be back on that pier now at 31, because last time I was there, I was like 11 years old. So anyway, I've been spending a lot of time at that pier kind of writing and just seeing all these, like, biking down the street and seeing like me at 12, me at 22, me at 18, and it all kind of seems to be coalescing in this really weird way. So anyway, this is about that. I think bees like focused attention, and flowers, obviously. I mentioned the latter obvious statement because one darts around my head as I read Henry Miller's essay about Whitman at the end of this pier at the tip of Owl's Head Park, not far from the Verrazano Bridge, and returns every half a minute or so to tend the bows of goldenrod that are sprouting out from my ancient DiMartini messenger bag that is at least as half as old as I am and looks it. A second bee now takes up the task, and I feel good knowing that bees will eat, and I'll get to perch, that bees will get to eat, and that I'll get to perch these on some windowsill in an old soda bottle I got in a junk store in New Orleans. I cut the goldenrod and the other flowers, the pale pink and lavender ones that resemble skinny petaled daisies, the same kind that sprouts in the yard next door, and look good against the tri-colored cat that likes to perch beside them and stare at me in the mornings. Stark white fur with fat dollop patches of a creamy tangerine orange and bluish gray. This is the amalgamate cat of the litter, for which there is a full colored counterpart for each splotch. The backyard sometimes looks like a painting, which was a favorite of mine as a teenager, of which I forgot, I'm not sure when, which is a thing I've always wondered about forgetting. Does it happen all at once, falls from you like a key from a jangling set to a door you no longer use and so don't notice? Or does it fade or leave you by degrees till it's just not there anymore? Or do you just become kind of blind to it? This thing you know or that you love blends in like some ubiquitous trinket on a windowsill. The bee darts by. The painting is massive and hangs at the Metropolitan, a place that if my theory about bees were to be correct, would be filled with them. I can't help but see a hive nestled between the obsidian butt cheeks of a Rodin. Flowers too, though, are an essential counterpart. So if they still fill those massive vases in the lobby, then maybe they'd take up residence there. But the painting is by Jules Bastien-Lepage and depicts a woman who I'm sure I resonated with being visited in a grove by a golden-armored and waspy-looking angel, maybe Michael, but he is telling her who becomes Joan of Arc of her fate. Kind of a raw deal, martyred for the wars of old men and burnt on a cross, if I remember correctly, which I doubt that I do because I don't care, which I doubt that I do because I care about the painting and Joan, but not the manufactured tales of saints who probably didn't choose it and was probably bestowed in exchange for their life and on some whim of the church. But I love that painting and the woman in it, who probably represented me to myself when I loved it at 19. And now seems to stand ageless in that grove, a vessel now for the girl I was then, one I've mourned losing at different times from this many experienced vantage point of 31, after burning up myself, pared down to something that feels kind of elemental, and a bit like that 18-year-old did, but amalgamated with this self who's met that fate already and lived, that fate she was so afraid of at least. The greater arc of my fate is to be continually revealed and tended. It's the one I feel I'm tending now, biking the Belt Parkway, marveling at the mere psychedelia of the water's surface, a mosaic of everything above, a mosaic of everything above it, surrounding it, below it, traversing it. A life is kind of like that, the interior it creates in you. It's what it's what my life feels like now, something reminiscent of things, places I've known, people I've been, and what it felt like to inhabit them. But it's also alien, shifting, new and old at the same time. I look up from this thought towards the sky that seems close from the top of this tall brownstone stoop and catch a single bow of disembodied rainbow that casts only about 5 seconds before fading from the face of the stretched strands of cloud. I'm sure there's a name for that kind of cloud and for short-lived ribbons of rainbow. That watery interior of memory and experience and desires and selves come and gone. You can admire it or swim in it or drown in it too if you're not careful. I've done all three a few times, though barely survived the last oceanic storm. It's not a place you want to be with without a paddle or to end up floating, clinging desperately to the wreckage of an old self. As I sat to write at what has become my favorite bench and watched the bee do his work and the shorebirds coast overhead with their sharp-tipped silhouettes and easeful determination, I felt a deep smack on the face of those waters within, an ache for a self I don't think I am anymore, for her desires and the things she worked so hard to achieve, the things she aspired for, met at first with the violent surface resistance, the yearning not to let her go, to make her some promise, to take up again somehow her mantle that isn't mine anymore, and try to satiate that fear, that acknowledgement that I'm something else now by cloaking myself in something I've been. And then I realized I had to let her go. The pain was the pull of something that is falling quickly below to the underlayers of the ocean beyond my sight, and I had to release the ropes that kept me bound to it, let it sink below, perhaps to the same place forgotten memories go, things we forget we love, but still do and always will beyond our knowing. How are we doing on time? How are we doing on time? Do you want more? you want one more? Okay, cool. Cool. So this one isn't really, well, I mean, I haven't read it since I haven't reread it since I've written it, so I'll just read it now. So if it's bumpy, that's why it is. But I came to this understanding because I realized that sometimes being really smart makes you really stupid. Because I spent a lot of my life being really good at knowing a lot of things, but I realized at a certain point, if you're good at knowing a lot of stuff, you also get really good at bullshitting. And I realized I became a very marvelous bullshitter. But it's a very special thing when you start to recognize your own bullshit, because once you can do that, you're kind of free. So that's how I've been feeling recently. Being too smart can make you dumb. When you live too much in your head, you risk stranding yourself on that island. Isolationist, protective, very smart because you need to be to survive and sustain, but willfully blind to inefficiencies of living that way. Beautiful at bullshitting. It's a skill that comes with being a good truth seer and truth speaker. It's the shell of a thing. Gorgeous, well-word built facade, artful artifice. Being smart can get you very far, but so often the horse you rode in on is the one who rides away with you. You can get very adept at constructing scaffolds and systems of bullshit around things you don't want to face. And the thing is, the fucking kicker, is that you always know, you always do, but you get so good at willful forgetting, you stop remembering that you're doing it. The energy gets spent on painting over that truth every day, every minute. You feel the fatigue, but forget why, forget where that energy is being used. You can be so damn smart, but so fucking dumb. And you think you need to be so, need to figure it out, as if anyone can, as if anyone could, not through experience and doing, but from inertia and thinking. And that's the place you have to shatter if you aspire to grow from smart to wise. If you are serious about sharing that gift in your soul with the brush of your unique mind and way of seeing, you learn to see more than think. Issues that arise in drawing are a mere, issues that arise in learning to draw are a mirror to the issues, to your issues and barriers to seeing, reflection to your inefficiencies of thought, of denial and blind spots. If you want to learn better how to be, learn to draw. Not learn how to draw well, but learn well how to draw. There is an innate difference in the species of those two things. Striving for perfection will always fuck you. It makes you rigid, willfully blind to what is for the sake of the impoverishedly imagined ideal, for the sake of proving your worth, of earning things that are simply and intrinsically yours, like worth, like value, love, when that's got nothing to do with your pencil on the page. So you are lost in an unwinnable and wholly arbitrary battle instead of just learning to draw. I am so much less intrigued with what things say about me than I am in the experience of doing them. Because truthfully, no one cares. Nothing says anything about you. And that which does speak about you, who you are, is often what we ignore and not what you fixate on. The paradox in there is that all you seek for the world to approve, that acceptance and validation you so seek to prove from your earning and achieving, is yours by right. And you access it through authenticity, not artifice. Truth just is. Bullshit requires endless maintenance and bullshit requires endless maintenance, and something always goes wrong. Bullshit is riddled with flourishes and complexity, skillful executions, triple axles over lava pits, self-imposed and disastrous consequences for perceived failure. We waste so much time building on ground never meant for foundations. Venice was a wild advent, but it was built in relationship with a swamp it inhabited and successfully deterred the Romans. Designed with the landscape rather than in opposition to it, designed in relationship with rather than to conquer, built with rather than in spite of, and to gain approval for summiting, making beautiful something that was considered to be bad. Essentially, do you need a fucking medal? Be honest, and very weary of that. I wanted one. I thought I could buy it with my suffering and self-denial. Even if such a trophy existed and you don't want it, what would it do? Some heavy obsidian thing to perch on a shelf and shroud with dust, or to be attended to like some false idol constructed from the condensed heaviness of having bared the burden, the crushing cross of impoverishedly imagined perfection? Things don't save you. Being saves you. Unburdening yourself from the hellishly heavy robes and garments of title, of expectations, of trauma, of identity, approval, society, shimmying out of that leaden thing and having the audacity to stand stark naked and refuse shame. Your trophy is not a thing. Your trophy is a way of learning to be. And in that way of being exists grace. Grace is the opposite of contrivedness. Now, you can build some beautifully executed things through skill. I have most done. But you can also be a conduit to the emergence of something truly beautiful, efficient, and as surprising to you as it is to others. You can execute craft for approval, to earn and keep your station, title, ranking, or you can experience the grace of working in tandem with what is, with a tool of your craft, and in collaboration with a genius and beauty much greater than you could ever hope to pull out of your single self. You can have an experience, the unavoidable product of which is some piece of art that is no doubt good and no doubt honest, but more of a parting gift, an imprint and impression left by experience than some great thing we say was worth suffering for. I remember a dream, a coat so encrusted with life it was stiff and held its form, ballooning out like an upside-down teacup and almost adobe-like in its construction, many rooms and chambers within its circumference. It was heavy. I'm wriggling down into it and crawling out from under it, pale and slick with something cold like the sweat that encases you when you're sick. And it stands up straight, just as it did when I inhabited it, so rigid it didn't even need me as an armature. I don't care about trophies. And I no longer give a shit about what the imagined other thinks of me, or anyone for that matter, especially those who look out from windows in well-executed fortresses as I once did. You'll find me in the nude, somewhere in the grass, unafraid to show my whole ass. Yeah. Thanks, y'all.
All right. You know, it's been another wonderful Wednesday. I got excited. I was like, oh, we got another one, but then we didn't have another one. So I was like, all right. You know, sometimes you can't get everything. But we appreciate y'all coming. Please make some noise for yourselves, for supporting us and yourselves. This has been Nuyorican Poets Cafe Open Mic with the Loisaida Center. You can find us here every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. We're always here. Feel free to pop by, tell your friends to come see us as well. And everyone get home safe. Don't forget to look for the other Monday nights at the Bowery and the slams on Friday, you know? Not this Friday, but, you know, yeah. Have a good night, everyone.